Story 1. I haven't had time to forgive. My father and I have always had a complicated relationship, not animosity, no, just coldness, an emptiness that lasted for years. We lived in the same house, at the same table, but it was as if we were each in our own fortress. He was stern, silent, always dissatisfied. I'm resentful, stubborn. Sometimes it seemed that he just didn't like me. He rarely said anything kind, always reserved, tough. Taught me how to be a man, no tears, no weakness. And what I missed so much was, I'm proud of you. You did good. I love you. Instead, hurry up. You're late again. What a stupid thing you're doing. Everything I did he didn't like. It seemed like I was always inadequate, not smart enough, not what he wanted. We hardly ever talked. He'd leave early, come back late. The house was quiet, and the older I got, the less I wanted to try to connect. I thought, whatever. I don't need him. Years went by. I graduated high school, moved to another city, went to university. He didn't come to the graduation. I didn't ask him. It seemed fair to me. After all, he was never interested in my studies. We rarely talked. My mom always said, that's just the way he is. He loves in his own way. He just doesn't know any other way. But I didn't believe it. I was angry. And deep down, I wished that one day he'd say something kind, that he'd come over and give me a hug and ask me, how are you, son? Then one day, the phone rings. Mom's number. Her voice is quiet, torn. Dad's in the hospital. He's had a heart attack. Come if you can. I snapped. I dropped everything. I prayed on the road that he'd be conscious, that I'd make it, to say something, one look, one chance. But he was already unconscious, lying under the machines, covered in tubes. He wasn't breathing, only his heart on the monitor, like a line, pulsing with rare dots of life. I sat down next to him, took his hand, big, warm, the same hand that had tossed me in his arms as a child, though I'd long forgotten it. And I sat there for hours, silent. I wanted to say many things, that I forgave you, that I didn't hold a grudge, that I was sorry, that I'd always loved him just in my own way, that I waited, hoped, believed, but I couldn't. A lump in my throat, tears, and the endless, why couldn't we talk sooner? He left in the night, quietly, without a word, no chance. And now there's nothing. I come home, I see his shoes by the door, his razor in the bathroom, his favorite cup, and I want to go back to my childhood just to hold him, to say, Dad, I miss you. I needed you. You're my dad, even if I didn't realize it at the time. Now I look back at old photos where he's young, strong, with a serious face, with me on his shoulder, just a baby, and my heart aches. We didn't have time to forgive each other. We haven't had time to talk. We didn't get to be father and son for real. And that's the bitterest truth of my life. Story 2. I didn't even say goodbye. I left for another city 10 years ago. Everything seemed important then: work, career, independence. My mom, of course, was worried, but she smiled. She'd say, daughter, you need to build your life. The main thing is, don't forget to call. I tried. Sometimes. I called less often, and then less and less. Not out of spite. It's just always in a hurry. The day started at 7 a.m. and ended well past midnight. I'll call you tomorrow, I thought. Now's not a good time. Later, when I'm in the mood. She kept writing. Daughter, how are you? Is everything okay? I miss you. It's raining. How are you? Say hello to your granddaughter. Big kisses. I didn't answer for days. sometimes for weeks. I wrote the same thing. Mom, I'm sorry. I've been so busy. It's okay, kisses. She called. Her voice got quieter and quieter. Are you sick? You sound sad. You haven't come for a long time. I can't remember what you smell like. I always found an excuse. Work, Mom. The baby's sick. Tickets are expensive. I'll be sure to come to the next party. And deep down, I believed I'd still have time. There would always be a later. And then I got a call. Your mom, she's gone. Stroke, in her sleep. The world fell apart, suddenly, abruptly. I remember falling on the floor in the middle of the kitchen, just sat there hugging my knees, and I couldn't believe it. I didn't make it, not a hug, not to come over, not to tell him how much I missed him, how much I loved her, how much I missed her voices, her advice, her warmth. At the cemetery, I stood in front of the cold tombstone, and there was only one thing on my mind. Mom, I'm so sorry. I read her old messages like a prayer, trying to find one I'd answered in time. There weren't many, too few. When I was going through her things, I found a box. Inside were my childhood drawings, school certificates, photographs, newspaper clippings with my name on them. She kept everything, even the stupid cards I made in first grade. She never took offense. She didn't blame me. She just waited, patiently, with love, hoping that someday I'd come and stay at least for a weekend to make borscht for me again, to hear me laugh, just to be near me. But I kept putting it off. I kept thinking there'd be 100 more days, 100 more chances. But there weren't. Now I'm writing letters she'll never read again. I say I love when there are only walls in the room. I look up at the sky and hope she hears. I didn't even say goodbye. Story 3. We didn't get to be a family. It was different with her, easy, warm, like I'd just found something I'd been looking for a long time without knowing what it looked like. She was the kind of person who laughs heartily, hugs you tight, and always says, be careful, even if you're just going to the store for bread. We met by chance, on the train. She was holding a book I had been wanting to read for a long time. I joked that this is a sign. She smiled, and that was it. The rest was like a movie, only without a director, without a script. It was real. 3 years together. We rented an apartment, shared sandwiches, argued over who would do the dishes and which TV show to binge on in the evening. She called me future husband, and every time she smiled as if we had already lived a life together. We dreamed of a house in the country, 2 kids and a dog. She even picked out a name for our first daughter, Alice. She said, she'll have curls like me and your stubborn eyes. I laughed and nodded. I believed it was all bound to happen. In November, I secretly bought a ring, a little box with green velvet. I hid it in the glove compartment of my car. I planned to propose on New Year's Eve. I wanted to take her to the woods, to the tree, turn on the lights in the car, and at that very moment, pull out the ring. She didn't know. I was about to rehearse my speech. I'd thought of the phrase I was going to say, even picked out the music that would play the moment she said yes. I knew she would. December 31st, she went to the supermarket. She said, I'll be right back. I'll just get some champagne and a couple of tangerines. 40 minutes later, I got a call from the police. An accident, an intersection, drunk driver. Death is instantaneous. I don't know how I got to the hospital. I don't remember walking down the hall. I only remember seeing her, light, quiet, so beautiful, and dead. My knees buckled treacherously. I fell down beside her and only repeated one thing. You can't. We didn't have time. Then there was the funeral. People, faces, words of encouragement, and I didn't hear them. I couldn't feel it. I stood there with that ring in my pocket, clutching it like it could bring her back. Like if I just put it on her finger, everything would go back to the way it was. We didn't have time to become a family, but in our hearts, we always were. It's been a year. I still haven't opened that box. The ring sits in a drawer wrapped in a handkerchief with her perfume on it. Sometimes I see her in my dreams. We're sitting on the couch. She's laughing, eating ice cream, saying, "Shall we name Alice after Grandma after all?" I wake up and I'm crying. No sound. Just lying in the dark and holding myself by the shoulders as she hugged me. She was my family even if on paperwork she wasn't. She was my life, even if we were just starting out. We didn't have time to become a family, but in our hearts, we always were. So here I am, alone. 15 years together. 10 years of legal marriage would have been celebrated in August, but it didn't work out. And there's no one to blame but fate. And you can't do anything. You can't get back. You can't say how dear you really were. We lived like everyone else. We had a fight. We made up. But mostly everything was stable. There was good and bad. But now for some reason, I remember only the good. How we traveled together, held hands together, lived and breathed together. And that's it. It's over. And there was so much good, it turns out. I remember one time there was a problem. Rain and snow. I asked off work, flew in, helped. We went to the seaside, spinning in the water, swimming like children. Fun. Shrimp for dinner, honey. I was needed. I had someone to share my joy, my life, and emotions with. It's over. No one can replace her. We used to ride in the car together, my hand always on your knee. He was nasty sometimes, just boring as hell, but his own, big and warm. He was rich, handsome, not a single wrinkle. Legs like pillars, shoes of size 47, paws such that he would hug me, press me. Even the bones would crunch. And we went fishing together, just to the river, and sent to driving school. In the countryside with friends not to drink, my wife is without a license, but grumbled constantly, "Not so I drive, not so I brake." Okay, small things. Even did not pay attention. And now the car is standing, so sorry for her, so that I braked correctly, although he said there is enough iron for our age. Enough iron. And a mug stands, and a screwdriver, and junk of all kinds is full. And you don't need anything, it turns out. I can't even imagine what I would give just to rewind everything back. At least to hug one last time and say that I love you. But it's impossible. It's impossible to change anything. How to live now? 60 years old, heart attack,